And I think this is a great day for the university. And I'm just so proud that I'm able to say, please welcome our new football coach, Bobby Wallace.
Thank you. Oh, man. Thank you very much. It's great to be home. I appreciate everybody being here and the support you're showing for the program, for myself and my family. Obviously, this is a very special place to me. And spent 10 great years here. That's the longest I've ever lived in one place in my adult life. And it's just so great to be able to come back, to come home, to come where you have so many friends, and so many supporters, and so many memories. And to have that already in place will make this job a lot easier, even though it won't be easy. I first want to mention I introduced my wife, Sharon. Most of you know her. She's missed 2 football games in 20 years that I've coached. My son, Blake, he works in this area for Alabama Contract Sales. My son, Robert, who is a branch manager of Iberia Bank in Huntsville, so we're back close to them, and his wife, Melissa. Thank y'all for being here. You know, a family, coaching's not always fun. There's hard times, and so great to have that family support when you do go through those hard times. I also want to thank Dr. Kell and Mark and the search committee, the board of trustees, for entrusting me with this responsibility. And it's a great responsibility. It's a great opportunity. You know, I felt like, and they both really said it, and I felt the same thing, that there wasn't much that was going to get me off the beach. And, but it was being in the right place at the right time. And I've got a lot invested in this university, and I love this university, and I love the shows. And we're fixing to go through 2 transitions. And I felt like that I could be a part of that and helping guide in those transitions, and maybe be able to give us a little bit of a head start, even though there's already been a lot of work done on them. But when we do have bumps in the roads that we're going to have. And so I'm excited about being here at this time. You know, the first transition, and everybody knows about it, and I am absolutely thrilled about it and excited about what it can do for this university, for the enrollment in this university, for the growth of the community. I mean, history states, if you look at the last schools that made the jump from Division II to Division I, they've all grown in enrollment, which means the community is going to grow, the national exposure is going to grow, and I'm thrilled about being a part of that. In order to do those things, though, and do them right from a football standpoint, we have got to be sure that we do the right things off the field in the classroom. You know, a lot of people aren't aware that just followed Division II of the APR. You know, being in Division I at Temple, you know, I'm aware of what the academic progress rate can do to either help or hurt your program. You know, we've got to graduate student athletes. We've got to maintain student athletes in the program. We can't lose them. Every time you lose them, it hurts your APR. You lose enough in your APR, and you end up losing scholarships. Then you don't go to playoffs because they ban you from going to playoffs. So, you know, those things are very, very important. So winning off the field is going to be just as important as winning on the field. And I feel like the fact that I've been in Division I and have the knowledge of those things that I can help. I also feel like we're going in the same thing as going transition from Division I to Division II. We have no choice, but this is the way I would want it anyway. and I would do it this way no matter what. We have to get back to recruiting high school football players and having people in here. Having players in here that are 4th and 5th year seniors and graduating, and we had the opportunity to go to the White House in '95, and we're not going to live in the past. I've been asked this a lot of times. Why would you risk your legacy at UNA to come back? The national championships are a history of the University of North Alabama, not Bobby Wallace. I was fortunate to be a part of it, and it was some great moments, but that's going to always be there. That's never going away, and that's the great thing about winning championships. They don't go away. They're always there. So this is not about those days. This is about building for the future. And the philosophies that I have deal, when we went to the White House, we got to take, I think it was 19 seniors, and out of those 19 seniors, 17 of them were high school 4th and 5th year players. Every one of them graduated, and 7 of them are high school coaches, and quite a few in the Shoals area. And that's the kind of makeup we want to have as a football team. And the closeness that those guys had enabled us to continue to win over those years. So the second transition is to get back into the high schools, repair relationships with the coaches, but they shouldn't be hard. Scott Baisden at Muscle Shoals played for me. Michael Jackson at Russellville played for me. Cody at Wilson played for me. And I'm just to name a few. So the coaches in the area will be receptive to the coaches when we go out there. Now, that doesn't mean we never will sign a junior college transfer or bring in a 4-year transfer. But the majority of the players are going to have to come from the high schools, and that's the way you want it. The enjoyment you get out of coaching is not necessarily wins and losses or wins, because 10 years later when you get together with those teams, nobody talks about the wins. They talk about the relationships. They talk about the fun times. And my philosophy is you win with 3 things. You win with good players, so we have to recruit well. Players win football games, not coaches. You have to have sound coaches, because coaches can lose games. But you got to put your players in the right positions to be successful. And then the third thing, and I think this is one of my strengths, is the intangibles of the game. We've got to have discipline. We've got to have unselfishness. We've got to have player-coach relationships. We've got to have players and players relationships. We got to have work ethic. And to do that, and it's like raising kids, to demand that, those players have to believe deep inside that you care about them and that they can trust you. And we will develop that camaraderie and that team to where the players play as a team because they care about each other. They're going to play hard because they want to, because they care, not because they're scared they'll get punished if they don't. And they're going to have discipline for the same reasons. And they're not going to want to let each other down. And they're going to play for the team and not themselves. That philosophy, I'll tell them 3 things when I meet with them, the guys that I inherit a week from now, when they get back. I'll tell them 3 things have to be important to them to be happy. And let me tell you, to be the best you can be, you have to be happy. You can't reach your fullest potential if you're not happy. And so it's important to me our players are happy. But they've got to be in the right environment, and they've got to buy into what we're telling them they've got to do. Number 1 is academics. You go back to the saying, the philosophy that it's all about caring about each other. Well, they're here for one reason, or not one reason. They're here for the main reason, and that's to get an education and to get a degree that'll stay with them the rest of their lives. If I honestly care about them, then we're going to be sure they do the best they can do academically. And I'm talking that, that carries you through life. Be the best you can be. I had a wide receiver from Washington, D.C. at Temple that we signed him. He was barely was able to get into school, but he was a great kid, and he worked as hard as any kid I've seen work with the tutors and the people helping him in his academics. And when the semester was over, he was so scared to look at his grades, he came into my office and had me call the academic people to find out what his grades were. And he had a 2.7. He made 2 B's and 2 C's, I believe, and a 2.7, and he fell on the floor crying, and the first thing he wanted to do was call his grandmother. Now, that's being successful. He was the best he could be because he had worked as hard as he could. To another student, it might be a 4.0. But the bottom line is you've got to do the best you can do. And your academics, go to class, work hard at it, and be sincere about it. Second thing, football has to be important. You know, we're going to have to work hard to win. And kids know that. And, you know, that's not a hard thing nowadays. The kids kind of take, you know, they kind of enjoy that. But you got to work hard. And then the third thing I'll tell them, and they'll hear this 100 times, this is what I'm telling you, is to be happy in this program. Everybody in this program, coaches, players, managers, trainers, are going to be good people. And my definition of a good person is a person that treats people the way they want to be treated. Now, when we develop that, which we did in the 90s, when we develop that, then they all get along because they're caring about each other and they're treating each other the way they'd want to be treated. And they know that every kid on that football team, I don't care if it's the star quarterback or if it's the last guy on the scout team that never gets to get in the game, they're important. And they got to feel important. And then when you have that kind of atmosphere in your program, you know, I got the credit of recruiting Bo Jackson a long time ago. But that was really not the case. The players in the program recruited him. What happens is it's a circle. You start with the players. You put in all that, the intangibles I talked about. They know you care about them. They're happy. Student athletes nowadays, they want these things. And then when they're happy, you bring recruits in on campus, and they spend 48 hours on campus, which is the limit. That most time they don't even spend that long. Well, 70% of the time they spend it with the other players. And we can preach as coaches all we want, but it wouldn't take one player one minute to say, you don't want to come here because they don't treat you right. And it's all going down the drain. So you do that circle, and then your players recruit players, and it just gets better and better. But back here, I'm excited about the Division I transition. I'm excited about getting in the community. I think it's very important that everybody understands, and I know there's some that probably are questionable right now, but understands what this move can mean to the university and the community. We need everybody's support to help it. And I think that's really important. And I'm going to go out into the community and talk about that and meet with people. And hopefully I can make an impact in that way. They've already done a great job in the things that they've been working on to make the transition already. But maybe I can add a little bit too. So very excited about being here. Very excited that you're here. You know, it just means a lot to me, and it's a great way to get started.